Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry, technology, and services to help you create more videos to use in your mortgage business. Very good. Well, hello everyone. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Carl's doing his dance here. I love it. And we've got the whole gang here. So welcome. I know, Jason, you said you were going to open it up on Facebook too.
Yeah, I'm going to open it up.
Actually post
get some questions
here. And so we have some guests coming on starting next week. Everyone is so busy with the MBA that's going on and everything else. But I do have some really exciting guests coming up, including Sue Woodard, who's going to hop on with us. And we've got Paul Lucia from PRMG who's going to hop on with us. So I'm excited for November. But today we have our usual crew here, and I'm excited to have you guys here. So thanks for joining. Okay.
Always a pleasure.
Always happy.
I don't know, Jason, if you can copy those links onto Facebook for me. But, before we started with the call, Scott, you and I were talking about tools. And, we do a lot of conversation here about why video, what they need to work on. But really, I think for, talking about different tools. And so I had done a session at NAM on re-engaging with real estate agents. And that's an important topic right now. The audience, when I talked to them, I, asked them what, where their struggles were. And they said, really, it's that they haven't heard from me for a while. And now I'm calling them and everybody else is calling them. And what do I say? And
rates must be going up.
Yeah, rates must be going up. Exactly. So, it's always one of those things. It's like,
my refi.
Yeah, am I going to call and say, how you doing? What's new? All those kind of things. Oh, we lost Scott for a second here. So, so I thought we'd just go through that and talk about, how do you do that? How do you re-engage with your real estate agents? And obviously video is a good way to do that. But I know, Carl, one of the things that you really do a great job teaching in your Mortgage Marketing Animals and Freedom Club is, Thor's hammer and making those phone calls.
So there was a, and it's interesting, this study, gosh, if I remember right, came from MailChimp, which is funny because it was a test. It was a, I guess it was a test or a study done by, if you want to influence somebody, what was the best way to do it? And there's probably 20 different ways we can connect up with people, and everything else would be a variation of one of those 20 probably. But the only ones they measured was in person, phone call, email. Was that it? In person, phone call, email. Yeah, that was it. So they measured those three. And it was interesting that MailChimp did it because, as you would guess, if you go, all right, if I want to influence Jason, right? Jason's super cool dude. Everybody knows that, right? Very, famous in the mortgage industry, along with, his history with the Chippendales. So if I want to influence him, he's a realtor that I want to start working with. Which is going to have more influence, me meeting with him, me calling him, or me emailing him? Well, we all know the answer. It's in person is number one.
Right.
Well, the interesting part of this survey is phone call. It was like a candlestick chart. And the phone call, like let's say, just using the camera here, if in person was this high, the phone call was like about here. It was close. It was really, really close, which surprised me. And then email was literally on this chart. It seemed like there was a fourth one. I can't remember what the fourth one was though. But the email was literally a line. Oh, I know that it was in person, phone call, snail mail, and email. In person was highest, as you would expect. Phone call, not that far beneath.
Right.
The next one down surprised me was snail mail. So snail mail was actually more influential than email. Keep in mind, this is a study that's not that old. They probably switched position. Probably at one point, email was more influential than snail mail. And then when everybody started emailing and almost nobody snail mails anymore, they actually flip flopped. And snail mail is actually more influential than an email. And then email was nothing but like a line at the bottom of the page. So if it was a candlestick chart, it was 1, 2, and then further down 3, and then it wouldn't show. It was like on the floor was email. And again, this was a study done by an email company, right? So,
Yeah.
so if anything, they were trying to boost their numbers. And then when I read this, I thought, all right, I got an interesting question. So I sent a survey out to loan officers. What's the primary way that you prospect real estate agents? Is it phone call? Is it meeting them, phone calling them, snail mailing them, or emailing? And by far, the number one answer, as we already know what it's going to be, was email, which was the least influential. Now, I think a caveat of that email would be like if you and Jason, you might have a better source than I do, or Scott, or you, Ginger, but like doing a bomb type of video and email, I think that would change that matrix like dramatically, because if you can add, or not if, when you add that video component to it, I think it would rank it right back up there to real close to the in-person or to the phone call. I would love to see the difference like between phone call and Zoom. And I bet dollars to dimes that with a Zoom call that it would be above a phone call. Again, it just adds that video component to it. So
well, it'd be interesting on that too, which is a whole nother dynamic. If you're doing a Zoom call with someone, if it's a longer call, and if it's more impactful having that, so if the outcome is more than just a phone call, so same kind of dynamic, if you're able to have that connection with someone actually, on the computer, on the video, on your phone, or whatever, where you're seeing them and engaged with them, as opposed to just doing a phone call. Because oftentimes, and I can always tell, when people aren't showing their screen, and it's like I just did a coaching call this morning with my group, and we had a lot of people join, but some of them didn't join on the screen. And this, Carl, because you do a lot of the live Facebook calls, and so we can get into, if we're not on the screen, we can open email, you can look at other things, you can do shopping, whatever, whereas opposed to when you're actually there, that you are engaged. And people see that. So
it's interesting. So during, and this might be an old topic and it might be a new topic, I don't know, but during the we were real big into the coffee appointment thing, and did extremely well with that. Like it's probably no single thing helped my business more than stupid coffee appointments. I shouldn't call them stupid, but those coffee appointments, right? So simple. Well, when COVID hit and everything was shut down, it was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? And then this wonderful company called Zoom, which apparently had been in business for quite a while, really rose, to up in the ranks. An interesting thing that we found that when we did Zoom coffee appointments with these referral partners, that even though the conversion rate was slightly less than an in-person, not that much, but a little bit less, but we could do more of them because there's no drive time. And then if I had an appointment with, Realtor Susie, and at the last minute she had to cancel, no big deal. I'm here in my office. I've got other things to do, rather than I drove a half an hour to the Starbucks and waited for 15 minutes. She didn't show, drove back to my office, or then I got another one, with Bob, he doesn't show. And so we found that even though the conversion rate is slightly less, because we could do more of them, we actually had a major uptick in our business using the Zoom, which again is that video component of the coffee appointment, as opposed to the actual real coffee appointment. So it was interesting that something that we thought was going to be disastrous ended up, obviously not a good thing overall, right? I'm not saying that, but ended up not hurting our the way we did business that much. It actually, it improved it.
Right. Well, it improved your time and your efficiency,
Yeah, yeah.
which is important, so you can get
Hmm.
more done.
Yeah.
And very true.
And
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 so,
and it go and
how do
I
you
can't
people
I
keep that?
and just to reinforce that worked with this mugshot. So any mugshot with that's better than this one is likely to convert even higher.
Right,
So
right,
you know,
yeah, yeah. Well, with that in mind, one of the things in the session that I did at NAM, and I like the interaction of a live audience, so it's nice to be able to have that and asking questions, but finding out, where are you struggling, and they were struggling with, why to call, what do they think, and then what do you say? And it's funny because, people know what to say, but if you haven't done it for a while, or, it's like one of the things that I know that you really help a lot of your originators with is having virtual assistants. So, how do you get somebody else to make that phone call? And what do they say? And so, this is a script, and I've put this in the chat so you guys download these. It's a variety of scripts, whether it's making an appointment, whether it's inviting them to an event or a webinar. What I want to talk about today is asking them a question, and this I have both for if you're making a cold call or if you're doing an existing relationship, somebody that you've done business with in the past, but being able to call that real estate agent. And we always want 3 yeses in sales, so those are the magic number that we want to get to. And so the script is written like that, and I use this script. We didn't do videos back when I was a sales manager in wholesale, but I had my AEs use this script calling loan officers. And so it's a simple thing. Obviously, first thing, identifying who they are, get a yes, so that's a first yes. And the next thing goes into, our goal is to get the appointment. So going through the script, saying, hey, and this is your name, from who you're from, and letting them know, hey, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're very busy. I just wanted to ask you if you ever have buyers, and you can insert your topic here of whatever video that you just made, but let's say you made a video on the home buying process. And so you say, hey, do you ever have buyers who don't understand the home buying process? And if you do, would it be helpful for them to have some information and a resource to share with them? So we want to get the second yes. Most real estate agents are going to say yes. So first of all, you're taking away that I'm not going to take up a bunch of your time, but I just have a question for you. Do you have this? Oh, yeah, I have that. Great. We see that too. And that's why I created a short video and a handout. If you have a handout to go along with that, it could be a 1-pager that explains the process. And it's short, and I'm going to send it to you to share. Is that okay? So again, we want to ask them. That goes back to what you're talking about, Carl, just, blasting out those emails and crossing your fingers and hoping somebody, opens it up. But to call them ahead of time and let them know you're going to share it with them, but ask them permission. So we want to get that second yes.
yeah, I
And
love that.
so, doing that, say, awesome. Hey, you know what? You don't know me, but I know you, and you're a insert whoever they are. They're a top agent, they're an up and coming agent, they're a new agent. I mean, whoever they are, you're calling. And I'm a top originator in the area, and I think good people should know good people. And I'm sure as a top agent, guess what? I know you already have a preferred lender you work with, because that's the first objection. Hey, I work with somebody, I'm okay. Even if they hate Joe down the hall, that's their in-house lender. They always say that. So it's like, hey, I know that. So you don't have to tell me that. And you already have a preferred lender you work with, right? Yeah. Okay. Now we've got those 3 yeses, right? I'm not asking to replace your preferred lender, but what I'm asking for, and this is getting that coffee appointment, right, is for 15 minutes of your time so I can get to know you, the type of business that you do, and then get that appointment. So you're giving something of value, you're getting 3 yeses, and then your goal is to get the appointment. That's really the goal. You don't want to get into sales, here. We're not doing that. Your goal is to get the appointment. That's it. And you can do that with an existing relationship as well. But, leveraging those videos. And if you're making videos for consumers, and it was one of the things we were talking about in our coaching call earlier is, a lot of people think about making those videos for consumers, but agents need these videos too. And so giving them a resource of something that they can share of value, then they see that. So this is one way to look at those videos you're doing, and don't just post them out on social media. Don't just send them out on email, but to actually use them to making cold calls or your existing relationship calls. So it gets another way to be able to leverage that. So, and then on this script, and you guys can go, through this, but once you have that appointment, we go through your 6 key questions to ask in order to be able to build those relationships and things like that. But this is one resource that I had. And Carl, you're probably seeing some of that in your group that you do, scripts like this, right?
Yeah. And I love, go down that next page there, page 6. Man, I can tell you right now, this is all gold. I love these 6 questions here. That's really good stuff. Yeah, because one thing I have found is ask me questions about me, because that's when I say me, us. That's everybody's favorite subject is ourselves. Yep. And the other thing is, I love here, like, where you're asking, hey, what could be better with your current lender relationship? So I could sit here and talk about, hey, I can do this and that and this and that. And they don't really care. That's not their, maybe they should care, but they don't, right?
Right.
And they're telling you, hey, here's my button points. And so now I've got, we call it twisting the knife. So if they have a pain, I know where to twist the knife, so to speak. So they're telling me what their pain is. Exactly. So these are some golden questions right here.
Well, and that's the key in the closing script, is to say whatever it is that they say. What I heard you say was the top 3 things that you need from the lender is boom, 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 right? Which all translates to communication. It always translates to communication. And so, you said all translates. Oh, yes, yes. And then you get into your close. And again, let them know, hey, I know that you already have a great lender you work with. I'm not asking to replace that lender. What I want to do is let you know that I'm looking for, however many agents to partner with over the next however many months you're going to say. And I'd love for you to be one of those agents. And I don't expect you to refer all of your business, because we met and we had a nice meeting. But what I'd like is the opportunity to show you exactly how my process works, how we communicate with our clients, and how we can help you generate more business. Okay. And then asking. So many people forget to ask, and they're afraid to ask, but you have to ask for it.
Hey, I got a question for you, Ginger. Mm-hmm. I would say, gosh, why are they afraid to ask, do you think?
Don't want to hear no.
Yeah, they don't want to hear no. I don't know. Oftentimes, it's not that they don't want to hear no. It's they don't want to seem pushy. And I'll give you an example. And we deal with this. I was on a women's panel when I was at NAM, and it was one of the conversations that came up. Is like, if you seem too bold, if you are too bold, if you are too aggressive or assertive, then you can seem too pushy. And women often deal with this, and so they don't want to come across as that.
I like a woman that bosses me around. If you ever met the lovely Mrs.
That's
White,
why you've been married for as long as you have.
I was going to say, if you ever met the lovely Mrs. White, you could attest to that.
Yeah, so, my husband loves that too. That's why we've been married for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I think that's a lot of it. Why? But also it's knowing how to frame it. Mm-hmm. And, I was fortunate to work with Dale Carnegie and to be a trainer there for a long time. And I probably learned more than I ever taught. But that's one of the things that, they really did a good job in teaching, is how to frame those up to where it makes it easier to ask the question. And, for me, I got into the mortgage industry, developing training and marketing and efficiencies, and then quickly became an account executive because I learned you could make more money. But when I became an account executive, the job didn't exist, and the company I was going after, they didn't have anyone in my territory. And I knew this because I had talked to the recruiter, I talked to HR, and I talked to the sales manager in the region, who said, hey, we don't have a spot for you. But what I did, do is I knew how to frame that question. I got an interview, first of all, and I said, I told him what I'd done, because I had taken a territory from 35 million to 85 million. in less than 3 months. And so I, got the appointment with him, told him, hey, I don't know if you'd be interested in those same kind of results, but we should at least talk. And he said, yeah, you're right. So at the end of the meeting, I knew if I didn't close that meeting, I would never get the job that didn't exist. So I had one shot, otherwise I'd go into email hell. And so at the end of the meeting, we had a lovely meeting, we got done, and I said, do you have any questions you want to ask of me that would keep you from hiring me today? And so, same thing, you're talking to a real estate agent. Do you have any questions that you want to ask of me that would keep us from working together? And he said no. And the next question you have to ask for it, and that's why I have in this script, what I'm asking for is on your next 2 transactions, I have the opportunity to show you how we work and what our process is like. And for Russ, this manager, I asked him, I said, okay, because he said he didn't have any other questions that would keep him from hiring me today. So I said, okay, great. I assume it's going to take a couple weeks to get things going. So here's my fax number. That's how long ago this was. So you can fax me all the documentation. If you fax it over by 4 o'clock, I'll send it back to you right away by 5, and we can get started. So would, and I put the date 2 weeks from today, work for a start date. And he paused for a minute. Now, mind you, there's a job that didn't even exist, and he already told me that. And he says, yeah, that would work. And so he faxed over the documentation by 4 o'clock, like I told him to. I faxed it back to him, and he fired the guy that was in the territory that wasn't performing a lot. And so had I not asked, had I not pushed, he would have probably left there going, she's really cool. When I get an opening, maybe something will happen. But you have to be bold, because what's the worst thing they're going to do? Say no. If you don't ask, you already have a no, right? So, and it's the same thing in going through this, is being able to be bold in that. Now, the follow-up is, and that's the key, you have to follow up. People will follow directions when you give them directions. So you have to tell them okay, here's the next step, here's what we're going to do, and then follow up on it. And, by doing something like this, now you have to follow up with them. Don't just say, okay, that was great. Hey, I made it through. But to follow up with them, and say, hey, Carl, we had a great meeting. When I left, you said, I was going to have the opportunity on your next 2 transactions. Be bold again. People will not follow a path of least resistance. So if you make the path easy for them, then they will do that. So that's what one of these things will do. So that's an idea, leveraging your videos, being able to do that, and then continue to do that. If you're doing a video every week, which you should be doing a video every week, then it gives you an opportunity to call them again. Hey, Carl, we had a great meeting. I'm assuming you don't have anything right now because you haven't called me, and that's okay. But, in the meantime, hey, I just made this great, video on, first-time home buyers. Some of them are having a hard time qualifying, but they're not really looking at duplexes. Do you have any duplexes on the market right now? Because I just made a video on how to leverage buying a duplex as your first home. Would that be of interest to you? So think about things in your videos as far as how you can build those relationships with your real estate agents.
Good stuff, Ginger.
Okay.
So when I see this, I always think, man, I wish I had the nerve to make cold calls to real estate agents and go through a script with them. I'm just not wired that way. So what I do is one-to-many, and I like classes, and I like lunch and learns, and what that did for me and how I leveraged video on that is I would use a custom audience of real estate agents on Facebook, and I would send them videos about a tool. It was either like HomeBot or how to create Facebook classes, or maybe how to use Calendly to organize. There's any number of classes that you can do. And then we would do the face-to-face. This was before COVID, and this was the Total Wine and More strategy. You can use the classroom in the back of Total Wine and More for free once a month. and you can do a free wine tasting. So we would use video, and we would send video out to this custom audience of agents, and you can get these lists of custom audience, or you can get these lists of agents. Um, Looks like you got to go, Carl. We'll see you.
Bye, Carl.
And then we would do a live presentation, and then we would set appointments from the people that went to the live presentation. And for somebody like me that is just can't overcome, the one-on-one, let me call one person at a time, I always feel like I need to lead with more value than just telling them that I'm the person they should be working with.
Yep.
So I always feel like I have to show them that I'm the person that can deal with. And whether that's a live one or whether you're doing video tips on ways to use this tool, that's a free tool available to you through your local association, or something like that. But sending those videos out to agents and then putting your Calendly link in there and having them reach out to you. That was always my way. I think it's a harder way to do it. I think just getting over it and picking up the phone is probably the easy way. But for everybody that's like me, who's out there, that's like, yeah, I don't really feel like chasing. I'm not going to be comfortable, and I don't know if I'm ever going to feel comfortable. You can create these videos and you can send those videos out to those agents, do it through email, upload it as a custom audience, follow them around on Facebook for pennies, because what are you following around? 500 agents, maybe, not very many.
Right.
And then giving them something of value, and then setting up the opportunity to do this coffee appointment. This script becomes so much easier because they essentially came to you because you already showed that you bring more than a transactional value to the relationship with that agent.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to throw that in because I'm always so envious of people that can grab a script like this and just kill it. And there's so many people in Carl's Freedom Club group, and I'm sure Jason and Next Level Loan Officers, you've got these people that are just monsters on the phone, but I've never been able to do that. So video for me was a way to show my expertise and kind of show my value in order to get them to pique their interest, to set up that coffee appointment. And then that script is cake because they're kind of coming to you. It's an extra step, but for us introverts, it makes us feel a lot better about having that conversation, and it doesn't make us feel so aggressive.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good sorting tool as well. And, you can do the same thing and leverage BombBomb. So you could take this script, and I have in here part of the script is inviting them to an event. So whether it's a live event or a webinar, so same kind of concept, which is how I built a lot of my business as well, was doing webinars or continuing education classes back in the day.
Yep.
But you could honestly copy this script, put it into BombBomb, throw a video up there that just says, hey, I'm sending you this video because I know you're busy, but I just want to let you know I'm holding an event. The link is listed below. By the way, I'd love to set up a meeting with you. Put your calendar link in there, and it becomes a sorting mechanism.
Yeah.
And so that's a great way to be able to do that, or even as a follow-up, because people always say, well, what if they don't answer? It's like, I always do the 3, so make 3 phone calls and then leave a message. But that's a great thing to do as well.
Yeah. And the great thing about that, even if you're doing the BombBomb, even if they don't self-select on the first one, they might self-select on the second one or the third one, or you can keep sending different ones. Yeah, no, this is a great, timely, and relevant little newsjacking strategy with loan amounts increasing, loosening up that jumbo high balance conforming limit.
Yep. Which
Just
goes
jump.
into, if you're looking for something to do a video about, anytime there's a change, the newsjacking, you should always be doing a video about that.
Yep.
And I actually, so this is a script that, we provide to our Edu Marketing Toolbox clients. And so I'm sharing it with all of you. Insert your name here. We have a lot of our clients that actually download apps. And so there's an app that you can use on your phone, turns your phone into a teleprompter. And we actually have, I'll give you an example. So Parker Couch, brand new loan originator, been in the business for 2 months. He started doing videos, and it's great for him because he doesn't have any experience. So he can download the script. So he gets a script like this, puts it into his phone, sets up his phone, and he's able to read a script, sending these kind of videos out to his real estate agents, and he's going to close $1 million this month. But it's making the video,
Fantastic.
getting comfortable. And so, if you don't feel comfortable doing video on your own, using a script is a great way to be able to do that, where you have the information, especially for our newbies. And, it warms my heart being an educator, being able to see, new loan originators being able to come in and do the things that they probably wouldn't be able to do in terms of video. And so that's a resource. I have the 2 different links, and I put up here our video recording equipment guide. At the bottom of this guide, we have the links to the 2 teleprompters for the iPhone and the Android. And trust me, we've tested out tons of these things. Some of them are crap. These 2 work really well.
Nice.
They're not expensive. The iPhone's $16, the Nano's $399, and so it's cool because it just turns your telephone, your $1,000 camera, into a teleprompter, which is what the news reporters use. That they seem so eloquent in all the words that they're saying, and so it gives them the opportunity to do that. So those are our 2 tips for today, and I know we're past the hour, so we'll go ahead and close off. And I don't know. Oh, Paul, thank you so much. I think we're getting some comments on here saying things as far as, yes, you're with Scott, feel completely awkward on the phone when talking to someone. So doing the video is a great way to be able to do that, and having scripts too. So anything else you guys want to add?
The only thing that I would add, I guess, and this ties into your scripts, is with the scripts, you can take your time. And if you use a simple editing software, and this is something that I've had to learn to do when I use scripts, it's okay to do 1 sentence at a time and then pause. Mm-hmm. And then look at your notes and then say the next sentence. Right. And then look at your notes, and then you just close up those gaps. Yep. It's a very, very easy thing to do. And just like your gentleman there that's been in the business for 2 months, there's an authority that precedes everything you do when you create content. So even though you've been in the business for 2 months, if you do your homework on this topic, you are an expert at that topic. And when you create a video about it, there's an implied authority that comes with that. Nobody knows that your experience is not vast. They know that it's deep on that one topic, and that builds authority and that builds trust. And then you can start to influence one topic at a time. You never have to feel like you don't know enough or you don't have enough information. You can literally dive in, become a subject matter expert at each one of these things, one at a time. And over time, you're going to have a broad library of this expertise. So these things we're giving you the tricycles. We're putting training wheels on the tricycles. Like, don't be afraid. It's safe. You're not going to fall. You're not going to get hurt. You just got to do these things. And then the training wheels will come off, and then you'll be riding a unicycle before you know it, just rolling off the scripts, and you'll be good to go. So no, this was fantastic. And that's great that you made all of these scripts available to everybody here in the group. They're going to be super helpful.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. And having the opportunity to leverage whatever the programs are. Frazier, I know for EPM, a lot of brokers have access to all of your different programs. And so, being able to jump into those. And Scott, you used to do that a lot as far as even writing, FHA updates, things like that. So, so use that. But get out there and make videos, share them onto our Facebook group. we're getting close to 1,000 members now, which I'm super excited about. So share us with your friends. Share us with your real estate agents too. We're called the Mortgage Video Mastermind, but obviously what we talk about applies to a lot of others and to real estate. So please feel free to share us and join us. We have the link to register. If you register for the webinar, it's going to give you a reminder email, which is why we switched over to Zoom from StreamYard. And so you'll get notified of that. And then we always have the recordings here live as well.
Fantastic.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks so much. And we will see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.